summer Saturday in Bridgeton, in Glasgow's Protestant homeland. Before this patch of the East End was renovated by the bulldozer, the old Bridgeton was known to those of a different faith as Bitter Orange.
Bridgeton has always been a stronghold of the Orange Order. Indeed, a redevelopment in Bridgeton perhaps makes the Bridgeton not seem the stronghold that it was. Yet, if one goes to the far ends of the world and meets a Scot from Glasgow, who is perhaps an Orangeman, associated with an Orange family, or came from Bridgeton, he immediately associates Bridgeton with Orangeism. Yes, Bridgeton has been a stronghold of Orangeism for more than a century, and is still in the minds of the Bridgeton people strongly Orange.
And this is a special Saturday. The elite corps of the Orange Order, the men of the Royal Black Institution, are leaving for their annual rally at Ayr. It's the day of the Black Walk.
It's a great honour to be in the Orange Order. It's a greater honour to be the Worshipful District Master of 37 District in Bridgeton. I'm about 5'6". Well, it makes you feel taller. It's a feeling you can't really explain. It's a great feeling to go out in the street and show the people what you really believe in. And go around that bridge and cross, we think there's millions there. This institution is built on the Bible. And the Bible is the truth, and that's what we believe in.
Half a mile away, behind the slum-cleared streets of Park Head, is Celtic, by tradition the Catholic rallying standard of East End Glasgow. They came first from Ireland during the potato famine, will move to the suburbs in successive redevelopments. Many, like Frank Kirk, still come back.
That close by, Willie. From my early stage, I've always supported them. I don't think it mattered to me that much if I stayed 90 miles away. I still think I'd support Celtic. When I was 10 and 11, I sort of seen the light, you know, that they were the best team. Well, that wee rumour Nicholas was going to Liverpool, Everton last season. When I was brought up a Catholic, I don't know if I had anything to do with it. But certain people think it's religious. Personally, I don't see it that way. Off you go. Yeah, I don't. Why your daft uncle sat down there? He was there, sat beside the new father. Oh, that's rotten, It's steeped in tradition, certainly. You know, my father was a Celtic supporter. The only team I've taken my son to see is the Celtic.
Strident chord of the old-time religious and political certainties can still be heard in Glasgow. The passions still sometimes fall back to bigotry. They're wrapped in the old values, and they're stoutly defended by the Secretary of the Orange Order in Scotland, David Bryce.
In a day when people seem to lack firm beliefs and seem to be willing to compromise In so many fundamental things, I can understand some people saying we're extremists, but I don't believe we're extremists, and neither does the general membership of the Orange Order believe that we're extremists. There are many Orange people who have Roman Catholic friends. Many Orange people have Roman Catholic neighbours, and they have harmonious relationships with the Roman Catholic neighbours, the Roman Catholic workmates. No problems.
I think the Celtic team at the moment's got 7 Protestants. It doesn't matter to me. They play for Celtic. It doesn't matter whether they're Protestant, Hindu, Catholic, Jew. As long as they play for that jersey, you know, that's all that matters to me. Rangers will not sign a Catholic, which to me, personally, long may it continue because they'll never win anything. You can be at times terrified by your own support. You always get the pamphlets on both sides, either Catholic or Protestant, that shout about religion, the Pope, and shout about King Willie. Possibly you'll find the bulk of these people have never been in a church since they've been christened. Me, I like to think I've got less bitter. Although that I was, again, with a good friend of mine who went to one end, I went to the other. We would possibly shout at each other for 90 minutes, but after that game, I'd be finished, apart from the argy-bargy.
Glasgow's old arguments persist, an attempt by displaced Glaswegians to keep an old identity. Catholic, Protestant, Irishman and Scotsman. They could be heard on different street corners now. On the hills of concrete, away to the south and east. A purpose from the past, still keenly felt by the remnants of communities left in the East End.
It's my life. Bowling is my life. If it wasn't for bowling, I would have been in a pub or something, you know.
There's one thing about it, it's not the same as football matches. You never get a break in here, nor a bottle thrown at you, know, anything like that. Yeah. And when you're on the green, you're exercising all the muscles in your body. And it takes you away from the traffic. Used to play here to about 11 o'clock at night in the dark, lighting matches for to show you the jack and one thing. I don't play at all now, you know. The old legs will not get down to it, you know.
At one time there was about 7 public greens in Bridgeton. At the time of unemployment, public green bowling was very popular. But in the last 20 years, it's faded away. And most of the people who had an enthusiasm for bowling have drifted into private clubs. And the public bowling is now practically extinct.
In the olden days, we had to work hard for to keep it going, you know. The ladies had to run the jumble sails and go round canvassing things round the houses, and we had awful hard in the olden days.
Well, it's all changed, all like that. A lot of young people taking it up, you know.
Used to be you couldn't get the young ones to come in. Now, if you're too old, you don't get in. And it used to be called the old man's game. Yeah.
Against the odds of planning and economics, East End families cling to the old bond. Like Colleen Dunbar, make a life of it.
This is actually the first one in my family. It's had a wedding like this. And more or less it's been quiet weddings, you know. We've got to make a life for ourselves, to make a good life. I'm quite happy with that. I'm sure they can't stick with their mother the other days.
Oh, you're that nervous.
That's fine.
You nervous?
In a way, yes.
I think my mother's a bit nervous, you know.
Probably.
Francis! Baby! Square!
She's no intention of having a family. Well, Michael's unemployed because she said, I know future and bring a baby in when there's no money coming to keep it.
I'll get that. Just you shut your eyes and I'll cover your face.
Our parish church had actually closed down. So this was the first wedding in the family that's been at St Michael's Church. So everything's worked out well for her.
After the match at Park Head, Frank Kirk will stay on in the East End. Once a successful salesman, he lives unemployed in a new town in East Kilbride. But he comes back to Bridgeton most days to find a social life. The Rover returning to a pub on the edge of Glasgow Green.
You've drank in the pub for, what, 16, 17 years. It's no easy to move away. And I'll always have strong ties here. You know, there's good people everywhere, but I've been brought up in this area. Nothing against the people of East Kilbride, but, you know, it's not the same attitude as down here. All my friends are down here.
Frank lives 9 miles away. Others travel much further. To Jerry and Jack, the Bowlers is their Scottish local. They and their families now live in Canada.
You never thought it was great. It was just to have knocked it down. That's when you realise the difference. It wasn't. You never thought it was anything special. You just lived here.
I would prefer to live in Canada now, only because my family are settled here now. Even I've been home here 3 times in the last 11 months, and this is the pub I come back to again.
I think the population of Mission used to be something like 78,000. And I think the eventual aim was to have it round about 6,000 people or something like that.
It's happened, eh? Like we were back in January, like where I was born.
They tell me.
Where is it?
Well, they're building an Asda there. Bridgeton Main Street used to have one of the best shopping centres there was. Everything. You know, you could start off a haircut on a Saturday morning, finish up a pudding supper on a Saturday night, sort of thing, you know, and do your messages in between, you know. I'm very biased to be here. I would come back here tomorrow, but my wife and I don't know if I would like my kids to be brought up that again. That's a funny thing about it. I'm talking about from a selfish point of view.
If I was bringing my kids back, it would need to be within the next couple of years, because after that it'd be too late for them. They'd find it really difficult here. I've got an 11-year-old son. As soon as he's 16, I'll bring him back for a holiday.
What would you say to him if he wanted to stay?
Good luck.
Bye.
Now, for children of God and members of the Catholic Church, marriage is more than a human contract. Remember what St. Paul told the Ephesians: the union of husband and wife is only to be compared to the union that exists between Christ and his church. Michael, do you freely and willingly take Colleen here present for your lawful wife, according to the laws of God and Holy Mother of the Church? I do. Colleen, do you freely and willingly take Michael here present for your lawful husband?
Do.
Now that you're joined in holy matrimony, join your right hands. Your right hand. And say, I, Colleen Dunbar,
I, Colleen Dunbar,
take you, Michael Maxwell,
take you, Michael Maxwell,
for my lawful husband,
for my lawful husband,
to have and to hold,
from
this day forward, for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer, in
poorer,
sickness and in health, until death do us part. With this ring,
speak. With this ring,
I wed you,
in
the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
He will unite in love the couple he has joined in holy matrimony. Father, by your power you have made everything out of nothing. In the beginning you created the universe and made mankind to your own likeness. You gave man the help of woman, so that man and woman should no longer be two but one flesh. Look with love upon this woman, your daughter, Colleen. She asks your blessing. Give her grace, give her love, give her peace.
The tribal rituals of East End Glasgow make it an odd place, superficially like an Ulster city. The preoccupations of the tribe distort more common urban pressures. The story is told of a Celtic supporter falling out with a Pakistani bus driver one Saturday night and calling him an orange bastard. On the one hand, the living raw material for Billy Connolly. On the other, the serious questions of Ireland.
Second resolution tonight, ladies and gentlemen, will be moved by Right Worshipful tonight, Reverend Victor Ryan, Grand Master of the City of Belfast, Grand Chapter. Provincial Grand Master, Sovereign Grand Master, distinguished Sir Knights and friends all, we on the other side of that channel which joins us together, we have known a coming together of the Sir Knights of Ulster with the Sir Knights of Scotland. And we are proud to be in that happy fellowship. And we know that with your love and loyalty to us, Ulster is still not for sale, and Ulster will come out on top, for the right will always win. That is not preacher's language. It is the language of every right-thinking person who calls himself or herself by the name of Protestant. Through the words of your second resolution, we within the Protestant faith, I call us to new life in Jesus Christ.
Thank you very much, Tonight Ryan. Will all those in favour of the resolution please say aye? Yes! There will be no noes accepted. We now call upon tonight Thomas Orr, Right Worthy Grand Master of Grand Orange Lodge of Scotland, to move the third and final resolution.
Right Worshipful Sir Knight Chairman, Most Worshipful Imperial Sovereign Grand Master, Sir Knights, brethren and friends, do you realise that the majority of councillors in Glasgow District Council are in fact Roman Catholics? Are you aware that since most of these people have been elected, most of the officials who run the city have now also become Roman Catholics? Now I think that should tell you and I something. It tells you this, that once these people get into positions of power, then it's obvious what they intend to do. They intend to run this country. But sisters, brothers and friends, someone has got to stand for the Protestant faith. There are two institutions, the Royal Black Institution and the Royal Orange Institution. These are the only two institutions who can make a stand against the encroachment of the Church of Rome.
Can't help from
So am I.
We're selling shoes.
When I stripped on my velvet.
Love is all as long as
That's a great group. Take the first nice for the great awards. Thank you.
I was quite pleased for Colin, really, because they're a nice couple. And he's a nice boy. You know, having brought up in the East End. If Michael gets a job, maybe things will be different then. You know, to start off married life, you know, and no work, and how they're going to cope with unemployment money. And this was a bit of a worry because I know it's kind of hard for everybody. That many unemployed. A lot of people's finding it hard, trying to build up a home with unemployment money.
Today is much like yesterday, at the heart of poor Victorian Glasgow. Street scenes with a tint of sepia. Old men pecking for a living on the fringe of the barrows. This grey square mile of the East End still comes alive each Saturday and Sunday. A squall of traders in carpets and curtains, fruit and veg, unpack the Barrows Market. They describe it as the biggest bargain basement in Europe. A fair, a market, an open-air meeting, all rolled into one. In alleyways where poverty and commerce, pride and affliction have made space for each other since the Industrial Revolution. For as long, the Salvation Army has unfurled the standard of decency over these streets, from their oldest citadel in Scotland. The old uncomfortable reconciliation of God and Caesar, their purpose still sharpened in a city proud of its progress by a world hardly changed since the age of Dickens and the poorhouse.
Now we're going to sing a song of testimony to you, and the words of the first verse say, "Would you know why I love Jesus, why he is so dear to me?
This is maybe the answer that you've been looking for.
I've been seeking for him, but when my nervous state come out, they gave me nothing. I was destitute, and I went, and I was walking by, and I saw the Salvation Army headquarters.
Just because my blessed Savior first and touch of me. This is why I love my Jesus. This is why I love him so. He has found me much and treasured. He has won me white as snow.
Hostel Glasgow, with its epidemic of homelessness, a life of sorts in model lodging houses like the oldest of them all, Moncur Street, where Jimmy Wallace has spent much of his adult life.
Well, it's been a mess for quite a long time. But what I've been told is with the cutbacks and that, they just can't afford the repairs. Well, it's really bad because in a really wet day, the water comes right straight to the roof. It comes down into the plaster and all that. Plaster is falling on top of it. People is living in the bunks. So you could be lying in bed, maybe during the night in a heavy rain or that, and you could be lying in bed and the plaster would fall on the top of you.
The submerged 10th, General Booth of the Salvation Army used to call them, at first men from Ireland, from the Highlands and other more placid towns, come to find work in a city where the streets were paved with steel and iron. A drifting population that flowed back and forth across this end of Glasgow, but never drifted away. The heat of change elsewhere distilled the problems and the people here. They stayed. They still stay, making the best of a bad job or no job at all.
We all look after it 100%, looking after one another, you know. You always get somebody else to give you a hand. I mean, we'll not see anybody without a cup of tea or anything like that. And I like to say the older ones, we give them a hand. But after all, it doesn't matter what they are. They're still a human being.
Barney was like that too, until he became something of a symbol of hope on the hostel doorstep. He's settling into a home of his own, but he comes back to Moncur Street, to old haunts and his only friends.
Excuse me, James Wallace in here.
Aye, we didn't show up if you want to just go.
I'll just get waiting for me.
But Barney's is a rare success. Most, like Jimmy, have the hostel's image of failure to live with. No job, no status to get a job, when 30 or 40% of the supposedly settled population are in the queue ahead of them. There's just the brew, Glasgow's euphemistic shrug for the dole.
Right, Jimmy.
Hello, Barney.
All right, you come out a bit closer.
Yeah, certainly. Come on.
Yeah, we've done a line.
Okay.
At weekends, Jimmy and those like him can't even have the streets. Their picture of failure clashes with the wallpaper, the hard sell of Mr. Barrows.
Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to see you again, and it's nice to see a nice full bus like this. Let me tell you something about some of the bargains in that place there, because I told you last week, and I'll tell you again, there are no bargains that way. There are only bargains that way. Anybody buy any junior football jerseys? Ever bought any? Do you know they're selling them in there for 99 pence? It's ridiculous. So go in there, get into your pockets, bring your friends, and spend the money. Okay? Good luck to you today, and have a great day shopping. Okay? And tell your friends to come again next week. What? Did you bring your money with you?
Well, you didn't think me. Shut up.
Get the money out and get across there and go on with it.
Them do want the 1, 2, 3 yards, 4 yards wide, the lot. Who wants it? 50 pence. You've got it, there it's there. Is that no lovely? Is that no beautiful? And there you are, there's 3 yards, 4 yards wide, the lot here.
20 pence. Well, forget 20 pence. Hands up the ladies who would take a pair of them for nothing. 1, 2, 3. You, a woman's got her legs up. Just your hands up, darling. Right.
You want a factor? Hey, you're all guaranteed 100% ladies. All stolen. Hey, you're half price.
Tell me a colour now, ladies. Tell me a colour.
Hey, you're at $4.99 a pair. Does anybody else want another pair?
Lady, look into my eyes and say I will. You will. You've said it before, haven't you, honey? Give me one price for the whole piece. Go on. I'll take £3 a bit.
I could sell it anything. I don't care what it is, I'll sell. Everything that's up here is sellable.
Well, does all of it sell, though? I mean, a lot of the stuff over there, frankly, looks like junk.
Aye, it looks like the well, it seems to sell. I wouldn't tell these people our hair is junk, you know, because they'll all drop it and go home. There you are, there am I tell you.
How's that?
It's the same punters every week, so it must be the same. I mean, they must be enjoy it, because the same punters. I know every one of their faces.
Well, what do they do with the stuff when they bought it from you?
They take it in, that'll come in handy, and it goes in the drawer. And it lies in the drawer. It'll never ever come in handy. Maybe they'll buy 10 parts, 1 part will come in handy, the other 9 will come back here in some form.
Do you have a lot of pilfering here?
Tons of it. They'll be at it now. I mean, it's... you're after called it rubbish, so what you lose... You'll notice all the good beers put in cases and that, you know. You know, and she's got a scythe there and took the horns off of the catching them.
Well, I'm sure this won't trouble you one little bit. This will make a new woman of you. Any pain? No discomfort?
No, not at all.
Quite comfortable. Good.
Yes.
There's actually 1, 2, in fact 3 yards there, 4 yards wide. Them do want the lot of that one. Just give me one.
This won't trouble you either.
You're going the lot 150. Who wants it?
Your nails are slightly thickened. This is the treatment the movie stars get. Just give the finishing touches.
It's a market full of East End promise. Today's equivalent of the Victorian patent medicine man and the travelling gypsy.
Now, I want you to shuffle those up.
Only the escapologists have gone. The Barrows is a cut-price grotto of wishful thinking. If the present is a problem, if the past is hardly worth remembering, then the future must be better.
Would you be married? Husband, is he keeping well?
Yes, I'm keeping well.
Is he? I'm asking, is he?
Fairly well, yes.
He's working very hard just now.
Yes.
He's getting tired.
Yes.
He's getting a pain in his arm.
Sometimes.
Is he?
33. He's a bit young for heart attacks, but I feel there's a strain coming up here towards your husband. He wants to cut down his work.
But when nothing works, when there are no more indulgences to sell, and when you strip away a further layer of Glasgow's prosperous veneer, there's another Glasgow population. These are the people on the underside of the welfare state, an uncomfortable memory. Men and women who long ago ceased to look for any sort of bargain, who swill away what little they have in a damp, depressing barroom stall. In Glasgow, once the second city of empire, they don't like to dwell on the fact that they still have urban problems more in keeping with the days of the Raj than the age of the microchip. A decayed, condemned tenement within earshot of the Barrows hawkers is what passes for the home of Bill Sanderson.
I've been in hospital 3 times. I've went to the council alcoholism. I've been in the clinic for alcoholism. It's still just one of those things. It's uncontrollable.
Aye. What sort of trouble do you have in the close here, then?
Alcoholics and people going up with girlfriends and they're having alternate clothes. They sleep to come up the stairs at night.
So that's the prostitutes in here and the alcoholics?
And the alcoholics. It's out of order. You can't get peace at all. You're in your bed at night, they're kicking the door to get in. Shouting and bawling.
How long have you been in this flat, Bill?
Fortnight. I took him down here because my house gets set up the stairs with fire. Set up the stairs, was put in fire with vandals.
You lived up above here before?
I lived up above here for about 14 months, 15 months.
Well, what sort of services do you have in this place?
Nothing. None at all. Just got to fend for yourself.
Electricity?
None.
Water, gas?
None. No toilet facilities.
Not even any toilet facilities?
No toilet facilities. The place is a diabolical condition. So, it's out of order, you know.
Well, how much of the flat do you use, Bill?
Just use the living room.
This is through here, is it?
Yes. You actually hear bits dropping off the walls at night. You lie in your bed. If you wind blowing at all, there's chunks of brick falling down. And
you can actually hear bits falling off the building?
Actually, it falling off the building, eh? You lie in your bed at night, you hear it all falling down the walls. And
well, even this room doesn't look terribly safe, does it? I mean, it's...
This is the best room of the house, actually, you know, it's...
You're living in this place. You're the only person in this building, aren't you?
Just my wife and I, it's in this building, eh?
All the rest of the flats are empty?
They're all empty, yeah. They're all boarded up, but you can't sit in all day.
But how do you manage in a place like this when you've got no electricity, no toilet facilities?
Use the toilets down the stairs or go to one of the bars for the toilet. But we're out the whole day anyway, you know. We just come in, have a smoke a cigarette and go to our bed, you know. It's us to the morning again. That's all you can do. So I was off it for a long while. Yeah. I'm back onto it again. The past 15 months have just been pure murder, you know. Had to do something.
And during those bad days, how many hours a day were you drinking?
Say about sometimes 8, 9 in the morning to 11 at night. After 11, I've seen it go down to 2 and 3 in the morning. Waking up and starting again. That's why I've been going for the past 15 months. It's...
How much a week was that costing you?
I can reason about £200.
Do you mind me asking how you managed to get £200 together to buy the drink?
Well, there's ways and means. Ways and means.
And what do you drink?
I could drink anything, you know. Wine, Carlsberg specials, cider. Just had to get a cure in the morning to get rid of these shakes, you know. I'm just glad I managed to get back over it again.
So in the morning you had to have another drink to stop yourself shaking from yesterday's drink?
Yes, that's the general idea. When eating stopped eating. And
Is this yourself and your wife? Are you both...
Both of us were the same, you know.
You've been off the drink now for a few days, haven't you?
That's 5 days I'm off it now.
Has it been a bad 5 days?
Bad 5 nights. You go to bed at night, you see faces coming out the wall and things like that. You can't sleep. It's...
You're actually hallucinating,
You're hallucinating. You're that used to going to sleep with a good drink, you. It's like a sleeping pill. You're used to sleeping pills, you can't sleep without them. Same if you can't sleep without drink. If you try to improve yourself, you can't improve yourself in a place like this. You only look you down worse. That's how I take off with the drink. The drink will back up. When you reach your personal gutter. I think this is our personal gutter.
The personal gutter for many is the bar at the bottom of the slide, the Mecca.
You're busy tonight?
Have you had your supplies in?
All the supplies. There's never any problem with supplies.
Have you phoned the till?
Yes, I've got that. Underway, yes, they're coming. I said I needed him like the desert needs water.
Well, and the customers need a man in the desert.
That's right. The customers are not so bad at all.
This is lunchtime in a 19th century underworld in the 1980s. The domain of mine host, Paul Byrne.
It's a historical problem in the city here in that over the last many decades, in fact, going back to, I suppose, the early days of the Industrial Revolution, this part of Glasgow, which is geographically and, in fact, technically, the centre of the city, I mean, every street was numbered from Glasgow Cross. Traditionally, it was the working class area of the city. This is where the merchants made their money while they lived in the west end of the city. And because of that, of course, it's always had this working class label, and also because of that, in the days of workhouses, early days of workhouses, early days of model lodging houses, the concentration naturally was where the people who appeared to have the problems were. In fact, these are real Glasgow people. But whatever pub they drink in this area, it's part of their day-to-day lives, and you get to know them on that basis. A lot of people find it cheaper to come out and sup a couple of pints, night to all morning or all afternoon, merely because it's cheaper to do that than it is to heat their own house and use their own light or watch the television or be entertained and meet their friends. And life's difficult enough without having a drink problem. And when you have a drink problem, it's impossible.
How would you respond to someone who levelled the criticism that you're somewhere exploiting people who have a drink problem?
Well, I think that's nonsense. I don't think anybody can be in whatever trade. It's like saying that chemists exploit people who are sick because they sell drugs. If a person has a drink problem, whether I sell it to him or whether it's Joe Bloggs sells it to him, that individual, because of the nature of the disease of alcoholism, will get alcohol in some form or another. At least it's controlled to some extent in here.
How can I do it?
I think that the only way that any of us can rest finally is resting in God. This is what I've been trying to say.
Who is going to break? Is it me? Is it me? You? To me, myself, I think I'm cold. To hell with it. I know myself. I've got to get up at the end of the night.
Cruising round the barras on a Sunday afternoon. You're looking for a ship or something to hop between. It's a big fan, yes. They're all for sale. I'm going to be song first, right? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. The wife went out in an American car. What she did, she's not admitting, and what she's knitting's not for Britain. You're all the barras done, all right? I'm going to give you a bar. Right, then watch this. take a pair of them for your hands up. You tell them for them. You, sir, stick your hand to us, sir. Oh, come on in. Where are you from, Dan? What? Anderson. Where are you from? Oh, Mary Hill. The first 10 men with their hands up. 2 pence. Oh, my God. Have you no money? We'll take one for nothing here. No charge. No charge. Come in, but no charge. No charge. What a bag.
Tell you of something that money cannot buy, and that is Jesus Christ as a living Saviour. And the gospel that we preach this afternoon is for the whosoever, class or creed or colour, does not come into it. The gospel is for you.
Boy.
What the Salvation Army has done for a century, facing the problems as they are, where they are, is what the council is trying now, in an old rent office in the East End.
Really, here is going to be an entry door into a whole network of services. It's not just about dealing with the drink problem, it's going to be dealing with the marital problems, all the problems we're so familiar with, unfortunately, in the social work department, the debt, the arrears, the eviction, child problems.
It's a problem that seeped through Glasgow from before the days of the social worker, a tradition that weighs heavily on the present social services chairman, Albert Long.
I can recollect in my early days whether it was considered an embarrassment to marry a man who didn't take a drink. And many young women were known to state categorically that a man who didn't take a drink wasn't a man, simply because the man she's married to becomes a human being as a result of alcohol abuse at the weekend. He becomes the father, becomes the parent, the benefactor, he even becomes a lover at the weekends. And so the moronic figure disappears immediately. Money's available and there's a relaxation within the family. I would put it down as a major contributory factor in the social problem. The number of children in care, for example, is higher than any other region throughout Great Britain. The marital breakdown is something that's got to be seen to be believed. The violence that takes place, and I've often said that Glasgow and Strathclyde must be the most law-abiding part of the country for 4 nights of the week. And on Friday and Saturday night, there seems to be a cultural approach to drinking, which creates unbelievable problems for the police, the health services, and the social work department.
This new outspoken approach, Glasgow warts and all, no longer hidden under a sticking plaster of civic pride, is beginning to find results. The homeless are offered more than a wired cubicle and a mug of tea. Men like Barney are helped off the roundabout of hostel places by local authority homemakers like Mary Fury.
That's what we're there for, to sort of make them independent. You know, they've been such a long time in a hostel, maybe 15, 20 years. And everything's changed since then.
Two dear. No, a bit of that, I see.
That's right. 195.
Right, this nice.
And we tried to get them into the community, but there's quite a majority of them just want to be left alone. And I feel they're frightened in case other people would find out where they came from. A bit ashamed that they've come from a hostel.
That's quite nice.
You can go round to some other shops now,
Right,
okay?
right round the corner here. I think there's something round the corner here.
We asked at the hostel, do they want to go into housing? The majority do want house. Right, what kind of lino are you thinking of picking?
Oh, God knows, Mary, I can't tell you.
And I think most of it is they've got their own door. And they can come in and out when they like. If they don't feel very well in the mornings or they're feeling tired, they can lie long in the morning. They can get up when they like. They can make a cup of tea when they like. and eat when they like. I think this is mostly why they prefer their house rather than the hostel.
What are you making?
That is mince.
Oh my.
I'll give you a plate after.
Oh yeah. Very good. That's quite nice, that cooker.
Aye.
Oh, that's good.
Well, sit down there.
And how are you coping in the house? For the hostel, is it?
It's lonely right enough. I mean, I usually go down to the hostel, meet all the pals, like, you know. But they don't know where I stay. Just a friend of mine knows where I stay. Jimmy Wallace. That's the one that's ever been up here. So I don't want to have anybody come up here, you know, we drink on.
That's right. You want to get them away from the door.
Neighbours, like,
That's
you know.
right. Doing the fireplace up, Barney?
Aye. A couple of weeks ago, Mary. Well, when I'm skint, Mary, that's what I do.
They're very good.
Me and one, I just sit down, pass my time, think first, what I do.
When Barney's skint, he paints his Glasgow on scraps of hardboard liberated from dustbins and demolition sites. It's a view from the bottom of the heap, a view of a city that still thinks of itself in grand terms. But Barney's world is rooted in the mill and mine tenements east of the High Street, in Bridgeton and Carlton, where the sweat ran and the money was made. Now, out along the London Road, another class is making a home in the Carlton. Where once there were slums, there are now owner-occupiers. A small square on the redevelopment map has been improved. But where in all this did the old residents and the old problems of the Carlton go? Have they simply been nudged a little further down the road to new slums that perpetuate the divisions of House Agent Jack Bellamy's Carlton childhood?
Well, if you go back to about 1932 or 33, I lived just where you can see those houses there. And it was all crumbling tenements. The whole place was just a mess. It was dominated largely by gangs. You know, there was the Billy Boys and the Sally Boys. There was nothing but
Which
fighting.
one were you a member of?
I was the Billy Boys. But I had my own little select group, which was a sort of, you might say, experts within the gang itself. But it was rough. It was really rough. There's no question about it. You had to be able to stand up for yourself.
But knowing the area as well as you did, what was your reaction when you heard that a property development company was going to build private housing on this site on the London Road?
I thought it was absolutely mad. I couldn't see how they could possibly sell houses down here and express this view, and so I was sent down to have a look at it. We had the winos in the park here, and we had the prostitutes down on the road further down. There's a steady stream of cars all waiting down there for the girls. In the 7 months since we've come here, the winos have completely disappeared. There's none now. They've just given up. The fact of our houses being here seems to have chased them away. We're told they've chased them down to the High Court, down that area now, but they're certainly not here. This is just a fine park now.
Strip away another layer, just on the other side of that fine park, and you can find yourself in a Vennel by the Clyde, in Paddy's Market, another step down from the Barrows. So is the poor end of this market, where mothers sort rags to clothe their children and old women sell bicycle wheels and plastic carrier bags, the bottom level? Perhaps it is, but the pressures of today's poverty are forcing what standards of living there are here still lower. Benefit, help from the state, is seen in a different, greyer light. The wedge of a new recession is widening the gap that yawns between political theory and the realities of this other city.
Are you not selling much today? Are you not selling much today?
No, I only get that 50 pence that he bought the bag. That's all I get, 50 pence. So you can put it in the hat any time.
How much do you make in a good day?
Well, for me not having a stall, I generally make a couple of pounds. And Saturday I made it £4 odds.
Was that a good day?
Well, Sunday's dinner. It's a good day. Wednesday and Saturday, you just come down, you know, twice.
Have you got stuff on you today that you're selling?
I get pens here and cassettes.
Well, they're new, they're still in their box.
Oh, still new.
Where do they all come from?
Actually, they're all stolen. I thought they're all stolen. Practically everyone's stolen. I can buy them myself cheaper than I sell them for. So I make a profit.
Do you not have bother with the police, though?
No, no, no. Used to be, no, but don't bother now. Very seldom they come down now.
Have you ever had a job, Joe?
Never, no. Never. 35 years. No worked. I beat my father's record. He's 45 years.
Your father didn't work for 45 years?
No, beat his record. I'll hope so if I live long enough.
Well, my husband brought me down here first, you see. He says, I'll take you into the Paddy's Market, he said. I said, where's that? Oh, he said, I'll soon show you. Well, I've been coming in and out ever since.
How many days a week do you sell things down here, then?
Well, I used to sell, but I'm not selling at all. What I come down for now is to meet my friends, my pals. They're hawkers, you see. And then now I live alone, you see, now. Well, I like to come down there now to keep my mind occupied.
When you were selling, how much could you make on a good day down here?
Well, I've seen me going away with £3 or £4, but that was a lucky day, that.
And on a bad day?
Nothing sometimes. Which some of them here. That's all they earn sometimes. Nothing. So nothing. If it's wet or anything like that, you know, they just got to go empty-handed. Many of families clothe their children down here, especially during the war, which I can well remember. Clothing coupons you needed, didn't you? Well, they used to come down and get clothes, you see. Well, they had clothing coupons. That's how it was done, you see. That's it.
Do you think that the market will keep on going?
Well, it's been rumoured they're going to take it down, but I don't see how they can. I mean, they can't move that bridge because that's for rolling stock. So that will never be moved. It's there to stay.
Hasn't changed a lot?
Not at all, no.
To be busier in years gone by, wouldn't it?
No, I don't think so, Mary. Not much a bit the same.
Was mine in years gone by busier?
There.
In years gone by?
You used to think it was busier, did you?
I
Do you
thought
think
it
it
was
was?
in years gone by.
Was it? Because you were here probably before me.
I've been since 1960.
I've seen the police coming through here with their police van. I'm going back over 30 years now. Gathering all the stuff out into the back of the police van and taking it away and giving it to the Salvation Army. And I've seen them carried out of here in the police van for standing here because they didn't have any street license, hawker's license. Well, that's all finished now. They don't do that now. They don't do that.
That's a coat.
I'll give you a scarf, whatever you call it.
That's a jersey.
Yeah, perfect.
Right, right.
Okay, now.
I'll see
You say you keep the jail yet?
Don't know what singing. Yes. Keep me.
Keep the jail, that's the main
Don't go
thing.
near it.
My name's Henry Charles, and I'm the greatest inventor in the world. And you tell the world that. I'll invent something that nobody's ever heard about. I'm the greatest inventor in the world. And I'll come back with a bomb you've never seen before in your life. You understand?
It's the end of the day. A day much like yesterday, much like 50 or even 100 years ago for the people in Paddy's and some round the Barrows markets. When the last rags have been picked over and the last stalls have been packed away, men like Jimmy have the streets to themselves again. The doorways fill up. Little groups huddle round the dustbins. A mile away to the west, at the end of what used to be a short carriage ride for the factory owners, it's Saturday night in a proud and affluent green city.